But first, as you know, I'm a conservative, not a populist, so I don't automatically applaud Donald Trump. His tariff wars have created chaos, and his seeming bromance with the Russian dictator Vladimir Putin, well, I think that's almost incomprehensible. But on energy and borders, he's spot on. Of course, America should make the most of its fossil fuel resources, as should we here in Australia. If Peter Dutton's energy policy, like Trump's, had been drill baby drill, at least he would have created some sort of contest with the Labor government. And Trump's dispatch of troops to control the border with Mexico, his version of Operation Sovereign Borders, seems to have turned those huge issues of illegal migration from a flood to a mere trickle. Late last week, he did something that I think Australia here should copy. He banned all travel to the United States from countries that won't take back their citizens if, for whatever reason, America needs to deport them.
The recent terror attack in Boulder, Colorado, has underscored the extreme dangers posed to our country by the entry of foreign nationals who are not properly vetted, as well as those who come here as temporary visitors and overstay their visas. We don't want them.
And that list of countries he's banned includes Iran and Afghanistan. And they are just two of the countries that won't take back their citizens from Australia, including many thousands who came here illegally by boat under the Rudd-Gillard era, have had their refugee applications rejected and still cannot be deported because their home countries will not accept them back. Now, thanks to Operation Sovereign Borders here in Australia, we have no immediate crisis on our borders, but we still have some 100,000 people here on bridging visas because they've applied for asylum, including some 50,000 whose applications have been refused, but who won't or can't go back. That's why we should be doing, or at least considering, what the US has done and simply refuse to accept into Australia people from countries that don't take their citizens back if they're no longer then entitled to stay legally in Australia. Now, naturally, the outrage activist industry would go into overdrive. But no one who's not an Australian citizen has a right to be here in Australia. And we absolutely must be able to send home people who have abused our goodwill, committed crimes here, or merely outstayed their welcome. But instead of taking action to ensure that we aren't saddled with people who should go home, the Albanese government is determined instead to protect us from an Israeli-American speaker who was to attend an important charity event in Australia. Now, notwithstanding the right to free speech in this country, it would appear that Hillel Fud's visa to visit Australia has been cancelled because he supposedly denies documented atrocities by the Israeli armed forces in Gaza and therefore could promote, so says Tony Burke, hatred here in Australia. Now, honestly, whose side is the Albanese government on? Why is it up to Fuld to speak for or against the Israeli government? Why are Israelis held to a standard that appears to apply to no other nationality on earth? I mean, every weekend the streets are full of people here who deny Israel's right to self-defence, who deny the actions of Hamas on October 7 and the daily crimes that Hamas commits against its own citizens. Why is this dual US-Israeli citizen barred from entering Australia when the Albanese government took in over 3,000 Gazans with scarcely even a security check? The double standard is wrong. Dare I say it, it's anti-Semitic. After all, I'm yet to see Tony Burke deport one hate preacher, and yet the venom coming out of some of the mosques in this country cannot and should never be tolerated. Israel's war against the terrorist death cult Hamas is a just war, and it's time the Albanese government recognised that.